This is a video where I'll show you a bunch of tips, tricks, and ways to utilize and customize your Apple Watch. We'll cover a variety of topics, so sit back, enjoy, and feel free to skip around to the parts you're most interested in. I'm going to show you how to make a shopping list for your Apple Watch, so you can see your list on your wrist and cross off items as you complete your shopping. This is a cool feature, and I love having my grocery list on my wrist without having to pull out a separate note. To create a shopping list, go to your Reminders app. You can do this on an iPhone, iPad, or your Mac computer. You could even do it directly on your Apple Watch, but I'm using my iPhone here because it's easier and faster to do it like this. You might already see a list for groceries, but if you don't, we'll create a new list. Give your new list a name and change the type from standard to groceries. You can also change the color and customize it with an icon if you want to. Now you can start adding items to your list. This can be any kind of shopping list, but I guess groceries is what people usually create shopping lists for. What I like about it is that when I add items here, my phone will automatically categorize them, making it easier to grab everything when I'm at the store. All right, my list is ready and I'm ready for my shopping. Obviously, you could just use your iPhone at the store to cross things off your list, but since I often have my hands full, I prefer to do this on my Apple Watch. On your Apple Watch, open the Reminders app and scroll down to Groceries. Boom, there's your grocery list conveniently available on your wrist. You can cross items off as you pick them up. And if you forgot to add something to your list, you can even make changes and add items to your list directly on your watch. I love avocados, so I'll add those on my list. There you have it. That's how you use an Apple Watch as your shopping list. Here's how you can use your Apple Watch as a baby monitor without having to install any third-party applications. The setup is super simple. Take your iPhone, open up the camera, and set up your phone with the camera facing your baby. Make sure to set it up in a way that the phone doesn't fall and it's out of your baby's reach. Then open the camera remote app on your Apple Watch, and you get a live feed of your little one directly on your Apple Watch screen. This is something my wife was using pretty often when our son was an infant. We considered buying a baby monitor until coming up with an idea to use a combination of iPhone and Apple Watch as a wearable baby monitor, and it worked great for us. So that's how you use your Apple Watch as a wearable baby monitor. Give it a try and let me know how it works. I wanted to share a cool feature I discovered the other day in my iOS Health app. If you wear an Apple Watch and keep it unobstructed, your watch will measure the time you spend in daylight and build a nifty little chart here showing how much time you've spent out in daylight each day, week, and month. Your Apple Watch has an ambient light sensor which automatically tracks the amount of daylight exposure you get. So as long as you're not covering your watch with a long sleeve shirt, this is pretty accurate. You can also use this to monitor your family members' daylight exposure, which can be good for parents with young children. And of course, if you don't like it, you can disable it from the Apple Watch privacy settings. To check this on your iPhone, open the Health app. Scroll down to All Health Data and find time in daylight. As someone who spends approximately 8 hours a day in an edit bay with no natural light at all, I can't emphasize how important it is to get enough daylight. This is not a health channel by any means, but here are some of the health benefits you get from daylight exposure. We're talking everything from vitamin D production to better sleep and better cognitive function. In other words, your brain works better. If you're struggling with sleep, especially the early morning daylight is going to be good for your body's internal clock. Mood improvement is also a huge factor, and you might not realize how much daylight exposure affects this until you don't get enough. Like I said, I spend my workdays in a room that only has artificial light, and even though it's a pretty comfortable setup, I definitely feel the effects on my mood after spending too much time in my office. Sufficient exposure to daylight can also improve your memory, help with stress, and boost your immune system. I'm not trying to be Andrew Huberman here, but I know a lot of you guys probably spend a lot of time on your electronics. So take it from a fellow nerd. Daylight exposure will make you happier and healthier, and a lot of times it can help you be better and sharper at all the other activities you do when you're indoors. So slap on that Apple Watch, spend some time outdoors, and maybe take a quick look at your health app every now and then to make sure you're getting enough daylight. I'm going to show you how to swipe between watch faces on the Apple Watch. This used to be the standard behavior, but Apple removed the ability to switch watch faces by swiping your screen in watchOS 10. Luckily, after some angry feedback, they brought it back, but to use it, you have to enable it first. Go to the settings on your Apple Watch and underclock enabled swipe to switch watch face. That's it. Now you can swipe between watch faces again, just like it used to work before. Here's how to turn off all mindfulness notifications on your Apple Watch. Different types of mindfulness practices can be really good for you, but I just don't want this stuff pushed to my notifications. To turn off all mindfulness notifications, you can open the Watch app on your phone, navigate to Mindfulness, and tap notifications off. Or if you want, you can mute notifications for a day. That's it. Here's how you unlock your Mac by using an Apple Watch. To enable unlocking your Mac with an Apple Watch, open the System settings and type in Unlock. System settings on Mac OS is a mess when it comes to finding anything, so searching is usually the easiest way to find what you're looking for. From here, you can enable unlocking using an Apple Watch, and if you have multiple watches, you can choose which ones are allowed to unlock your Mac. To use your Apple Watch to unlock your Mac, make sure both devices are signed into the same iCloud account and two-factor authentication is enabled. Also, make sure your Apple Watch has a passcode set up, and both devices have Wi-Fi and Bluetooth turned on. If you skip any of those steps, it might not work properly. After that, whenever you're at your login screen, Apple Watch will unlock your Mac whenever you're wearing it, and your watch is unlocked. Your Apple Watch can also approve app installations and authenticate other system tasks. And there you have it. I really like this feature. It's a small thing, but makes getting back to my computer a little more convenient. If you're wondering whether buying an Apple Watch is worth it, or if you recently got an Apple Watch and you want to learn how to make the most of it, this video is for you. I bought my first Apple Watch 5 years ago and I've worn it every single day, but it took me a while to figure out how to fully utilize all of its features and capabilities. So here are 16 things that I do on my watch every single day and how it's making my life easier. Before I get into the specific tasks that I do on my watch, I have to start by talking about watch faces. The way you can customize your watch with an endless amount of different options is a big reason why my watch serves me so well. There's so many different styles and looks to choose from. You can go with something simplistic if you're into a minimal look, or you can set up a watch face that's absolutely loaded with information, which is sort of how I like mine. There are so many cool things to display on your watch that I often have a hard time choosing which ones to use, and the ability to quickly switch between different watch faces is refreshing. If you're not familiar, here's a quick demo of how I can customize any watch face. I can change the color and choose different complications. Complications can include anything from my favorite NBA teams game info, exercise rings, weather info, or a shortcut to my car's smartphone app. This combined with the variety of built-in watch faces gives you a crazy amount of options when it comes to customizing your watch. To me, this alone makes owning an Apple Watch fun, and the ability to swap your watch face, as well as your watch band to a different look and color, allows you to make the same watch feel like a brand new watch with a simple change. So whether you prefer a more serious look, or you want something that makes you laugh, there's a perfect watch face for everyone. Alright, let's dive in. In no particular order, here are some things that my watch does to make my life easier, and what motivates me to put on my watch first thing after waking up every morning. A lot of these are based on my watch face, where I can see them by quickly glancing at my watch. First off, weather info in the top corner. I like to see the temperature as well as the high and low temperatures for the day. A quick tap, and I have all kinds of weather info at my fingertips. Another weather-related piece of info I check often is the UV index. I live in Southern California where the UV index gets pretty high sometimes, and I have a skin type that burns really easily. Keeping an eye on this has helped me tremendously when it comes to avoiding sunburns, and this is something everyone should pay attention to. Next up, world clock. I have friends and family in another country, so having their local time visible in the corner of my watch is great, especially when dealing with a bigger time difference. This thing here is the remote. It allows me to control my Apple TV by using my watch. Great tool to have when I happen to be far away from the physical remote, and I need to quickly change the channel or skip an ad on YouTube. Let's jump into third-party apps next. I don't use a lot of third-party apps, but one that's been very helpful is the ability to control my Spotify playback, even when I'm playing music on another device. I use this in situations where I have music playing on my phone, usually connected to a Bluetooth speaker or TV, and I'm either working in the backyard or cooking in the kitchen. I can control the playback from my watch while being far away from the device that's actually playing my music. And of course, you can use your watch as the playback device as well. Other useful things I do using third-party apps include approving two-factor authentication prompts, reading Slack messages at work when I'm away from my computer, and checking notifications from my doorbell camera. The nice thing about these is that I never had to configure or download anything on my watch. My phone pushes everything to my watch automatically, so there was never a need to separately set up apps on my watch. Moving on, I've never been a big Siri user on my phone, but the ability to talk to your watch is pretty convenient. I often use it when I'm in the middle of something and need to set a quick reminder. Just pressing the digital crown and telling my watch to remind me about something at a specific time and date. Voice commands are great for a lot of things. I use it to set timers when I'm cooking or taking my daily cold plunge. I use it to make unit conversions, whether it's from liters to cups, dollars to euros, or from miles to kilometers. And even though it goes without saying, I obviously use it to respond to text messages. I'm a big sports guy, so checking sports scores on my watch is another thing I do pretty often. Usually when I'm standing at a checkout line or sitting in a boring meeting where I don't want to bust out my phone. Sleep tracking, I don't do this very often, but sometimes it's nice to track your sleep quality. The latest versions of watchOS track your sleep automatically, but you can get better tracking by turning on sleep focus mode. It also dims your screen, and you can tap the screen to check the time, or hold down the digital crown to unlock your watch. Once you wake up, turn off sleep mode and you'll see your sleep statistics in the health app on your phone. You'll see things like the different sleep stages throughout the night, your respiratory rate and heart rate. Speaking of health, wearing an Apple Watch has definitely made me more active. The way it challenges you to close your rings is a nice way to stay active on days when you might otherwise be lazy and do nothing. Besides encouraging you to close your daily activity rings, your watch will measure your activity levels over time and set up monthly challenges for you. I like the challenges because they're individually adjusted to your fitness level, so they're always pushing you to do a little better, while still keeping the goals realistic. The workout app has a ton of different modes optimized for different activities, so whether you're doing yoga, swimming, basketball, or pretty much any sport, there's a workout program specifically for it. Ping My iPhone is pretty self-explanatory, and it's super useful if you can't find your phone. Open the control center on your watch and tap this button. Your phone will make a loud pinging sound, making it easy to find it. And the last thing on my list is the flashlight. Apple Watch doesn't have an actual light like your phone, but turning this on will set your watch to a super bright white screen, which is surprisingly effective in a dark room. And I actually use this pretty often. It's perfect when it's late at night. The lights are off, and I'm trying to find my AirPods without turning on the lights and waking up everybody in the house. So there you have it. These are the things that keep me putting on the watch every single day. I know people who fully utilize their watch and all its features, and I also know people who buy an Apple Watch, wear it for a couple of days, and then toss it in their drawer and never touch it again, which is crazy to me. Get a watch, put it to use, and you'll be surprised how much it can do. If you don't want your Apple Watch display to be always on, here's how you can turn it off. First, press the digital crown and tap the Settings app. Scroll down to Display and Brightness. If you want, you can simply adjust the brightness from here, but we're just going to go ahead and turn off the display when it's not being used. Scroll down, find the Always On setting, and disable it. Now your watch display will light up when you're using it, and after being inactive for a while, it will automatically turn off. If you want to instantly turn it off, just cover the watch with your hand, and the display turns off. With Always On display disabled, your watch is really good at detecting when you raise your wrist. Raise it, and the display turns on. Put your wrist down, and the display turns off. And that's how you disable the Always On display on your Apple Watch. Here's how you can turn off all the sounds on your Apple Watch. First, press the side button to open up the control center. In here, you'll have a couple of different ways to silence your watch. You can tap the bell icon, which will turn on the silent mode. This will completely mute your watch. You can also adjust the volume if you'd like to keep the sounds on, and simply adjust the loudness. If you don't see a volume icon, you can edit your control center icons from here. Another way to silence your watch is to use the theater mode. This will both silence your watch and turn off the Always On display on your watch. I use it when I'm putting my son to bed because sometimes the bright screen distracts him during bedtime, but it's great for any occasion where you want your watch to be silent and dark. Tap the screen and it'll come back, and when inactive, it'll go dark again. So that's how you silence your Apple Watch. If you don't want your Apple Watch display to light up every time you raise your wrist, Here's a few ways to keep your screen dark. If you want your watch to permanently remain dark when moving your hands, you can go to Settings, Display, and Brightness and scroll down to Wake on Wrist Raise. Toggle that off and your watch won't light up anymore when you raise your wrist. You can also do this for crown rotation if you'd like. You can also control the wake duration here, even if you have Always on Display turned on. Disabling Raise to Wake means your watch won't fully light up when you lift your wrist. Perfect if you want to be more discreet or avoid distractions. If you only want to disable this at night while sleeping, but have it on during daytime, I recommend using the sleep mode. Click the side button and from the Focus Mode menu, select Sleep. Now you can cover your watch to make the lights go fully out. And if you wake up at night and want to check the time, a single tap on the screen gives a nice, easy on the eyes clock view. To unlock your watch, click the digital crown, and to turn off sleep mode. Repeat the steps by going to the Focus Mode menu and turning off sleep mode. Sleep mode will also silence notification outside of alarms. It locks your watch, and you can schedule it to turn on automatically at a specific time based on your sleep schedule. Here's how you can use your iPhone to ping your Apple Watch. In older versions of iOS, the process is a little different. So if you're on iOS 17 or earlier, check out the older video for this on my channel. On iOS 18, you'll open up your control center first, then add the Ping My Watch button to your control center, and after that, you'll simply tap that button to play the pinging sound on your Apple Watch. You can add the button to your main control center page, or if it's like mine and completely full, you can start a second page. And if you have more than one Apple Watch, the sound will play on the watch that's currently selected in the Watch app on your iPhone. And that's how you ping your Apple Watch. Here's how you turn off the passcode on your Apple Watch. First, we'll go to the settings and scroll down until you see passcode. Here you can change all the passcode-specific settings, and all the way on the top, you'll have a master switch that can disable passcode altogether. If you have Apple Pay set up on your watch, disabling passcode will remove the cards linked to Apple Pay. This is a security setting, since Apple Pay always requires either a passcode, Face ID, or Touch ID authentication. If you want to enable passcode on a watch that doesn't have it, the process is the same. Go to the same menu, type in your passcode, and then confirm it, and you're done. If you're like me and don't want your Apple Watch to switch to this view every time you're playing something, here's how to turn it off. This feature is called Live Activities, and you'll find it under Settings, General, Auto Launch, and Live Activities. You can either turn a Live Activities off completely, but I like it for some things. For example, when I'm using my watch as a timer, and the timer automatically shows up on top of everything else. For music, however, I don't really like it, so I'm going to turn it off under the Media Apps menu. Under Media Apps, you have the option to disable live activities completely, or change whether playing music opens up the Smart Stack, which was shown in the beginning, or if it simply opens up the app that's being used to play music or media. If you scroll down, you can adjust this setting individually for a lot of different apps on your watch. So that's how you get rid of the now playing screen on your watch. If you're a new Apple Watch owner, one of the first questions many people have is, how can I turn off the annoying Time to Stand reminder? Time to Stand is a feature where your Apple Watch reminds you to stand up after 50 minutes of inactivity. And even though the intentions behind this feature are good, it gets easily annoying. To turn off these reminders, go to your watch settings and under Activity, toggle off Stand Reminders. You can also do this on your iPhone. Open the Watch app, navigate to Activity, and from there you can turn off the stand reminders as well as adjust your other activity notifications. My first instinct is always to go to my notification settings for this, but for some reason the stand-up reminder is hidden under the activity settings. If you don't like the vibration on your Apple Watch, here's how you can turn it off. Go to Settings, scroll down to Sounds and Haptics, and change the haptics to off. This will disable both system haptics and notifications haptics, making sure your watch never vibrates. And that's it. Click the like button if this helped you, and subscribe for more quick tutorials. Here's how you unpair and reset an Apple Watch. Grab the iPhone that's currently paired with the watch and go to the Watch app. On the top left corner, tap All Watches, and you should see your watch listed here. Tap the little info button, and all the way on the bottom, you'll see an option to unpair this Apple Watch. Confirm you want to unpair the watch and type your Apple account password when prompted to do so. In my case, this removed the watch from my phone, but I got this unpairing error message at the end. Basically, it's telling me that even though the watch was unpaired from the phone, my data is still on the watch. To complete the unpairing, I should reset the watch itself. To do that, go to Settings on your watch, and under General, find the Reset setting. From here, you can erase all content and settings, which will wipe out all your data and reset your watch like it came from the factory. This cannot be undone, so make sure you have your watch backed up if there's anything important on it. Once you've erased all data, your watch can now be paired with any iPhone. If you're planning to sell your old watch or just hand it down to someone else, it's important to unpair and reset it properly so the next user will be able to pair it with their phone. When pairing the watch with the phone, you can either set it up as a new Apple Watch or restore it from a backup if you made backups before. And that's all there is to it. By default, your Apple Watch screen turns off when you put it in sleep mode. But if you're like me and want to be able to see the time without tapping your screen at night, here's a solution for you. To change this, grab your phone, go to Settings, and scroll down to Focus. Tap Sleep, and scroll down to Options. Sleep screen is when your watch screen turns off during sleep mode, so I'm going to turn that off. With this disabled, your watch will display your normal watch face even during sleep mode. You can also set a specific watch face to be displayed during sleep mode. My standard watch face has a lot going on, and when I'm half asleep trying to check the time, I don't really want all that extra information on my watch. I just want a simple clock with big, bold numbers, so it's easy to see when I've just opened my eyes in a dark room. So now whenever I turn on sleep mode, my watch will automatically switch to my minimalistic nighttime screen. And when I turn off sleep mode, it goes back to my usual watch face. To change the name of your Apple Watch, go to the Watch app on your iPhone. If you have multiple watches, make sure you've selected the one that you're about to rename. Then go to General, About, and on the very top, you can rename your watch. This updates the device name that appears in Bluetooth menus, AirDrop, iCloud device lists, Find My, and anywhere else your Apple Watch shows up. You may need to tap the name field twice before the keyboard appears. The new name syncs automatically, but sometimes takes a few seconds to update across devices. After about 5 years, you'll notice how your Apple Watch battery starts to drain really fast. Just like any lithium-ion battery, these don't last forever, and once the watch starts to get old, your battery life will decrease. With an Apple Watch, you have a couple of options. You can either buy a new watch, which will start at around $400 or more, depending on what model you're going with. You can also choose to get your battery serviced by Apple, which costs $99. Take it to an Apple store or mail it in and they'll take care of it. From what I've heard, what usually happens with this option is that instead of opening up your watch and putting in a new battery, Apple will instead replace your watch with an equivalent refurbished model. So you're essentially getting a new watch with a new battery. The third option is to buy a battery replacement kit, which is what I did. These are available between $20 and $40 and they come with a new battery, and the tools required to install it. My wife's watch is pretty old, so I figured why not? Let's give it a shot. There are great instructions online for the process, and it seems pretty straightforward. Open up the watch, remove old battery, put the new one in, and use the provided adhesive seals to put your watch back together. It's definitely not for everyone, and not the easiest job to do, but I'm pretty good at this stuff, so I figured I'd be able to do it. Boy, was I wrong. The kit I ordered included a little razor blade that you push between the display and the aluminum body of the watch and carefully twist it open. I heated up the watch with a hairdryer because that'll loosen up the glue holding the display in place. But even with that, I could not manage to open up the watch. As soon as I got the razor blade deep enough to start twisting the display off, I could tell it was a lot of force on a very small portion of the display, so any excess pressure would easily crack the glass. I've opened iPods to replace batteries, and I've torn apart iMacs to replace their built-in hard drives. I'm not a rookie when it comes to this stuff, but I quickly realized the struggle and risk of breaking your watch is simply not worth it. It also makes sense now why Apple doesn't open up your watch to replace the battery, and they prefer just to give you a new refurbished model. If Apple's own technicians don't want to go through the hassle of replacing these batteries, then it's probably not worth your time either, and the chances are you'll break your watch in the progress. So yes, you technically can replace the battery, but it's very, very hard, and it makes more sense to pay a little more and have Apple replace your watch with a new one. I was pretty confident I could get this done, but I gave up. Don't recommend it, but if you've changed these yourself, let me know how it went.